Hello, people. Welcome back to an episode of the USL Show. It is great to be back. We're having all sorts of tech issues today, but none of it matters because, hey, we had some great ball that happened this last week. A whole lot to get into, but someone I haven't seen in a while. John, how are you?
Yeah, it's I only missed a week, but it feels like it was way longer. So yeah, happy to be back on the show.
Ryan, I saw you last week, so it's good to see you again. You swapped out one Scottish kit for the actual Scottish kit, so that's great.
I figured for the international break, or at least the last one before kind of the World Cup and everything, I'd support Scotland for this one. But the USL rolls on as they'll play through the international break.
You love to see it. Hey, before we get into this episode, let's go ahead and thank our wonderful patrons who got to see our latest video early. It's out now. If you're a patron, go check it out. I've enjoyed it. So everybody else will see it on Thursday morning. But those people who get to watch it early are Benji Wade, Sharon Anderson, Matthew Schaaf, Doug Brooks, Stephen Howard, John's Landlord, Don Garber, Matt Horn, Mark B, Josh, Dylan Reed, William Land, Sandy Stand Up for Standards, Ryan Smeltzer, Matt Capil, Andrew Towsley, Alva Heck, Chad, Kunal Patel, MOS, NF Reg 30, Tim Knox, Rion Lacara, Jeremy Churchman, Noah Telford, Michael Fuchs, John Fuller, Christopher Cohn, Frank Anthony, and John Hunt. You all get to watch some early access and get your name at the bottom, which is what everybody's here for. And you get to hear me say whatever your name is, as long as it's not something that gets me like fired from my job. So thank you guys. So yeah, we have a whole lot to get to tonight. We were going to do Open Cup first, but I want to hit some news, which was Sacramento stadium that's not being built yet is even bigger. It was 15,000, now it's 20,000. And this is not a big shock. We've seen them do this fairly often, filling in that many people into the stadium when they were at the old stadium before they went to the rail yard. So this is good for them. Very exciting.
Very exciting, a show of ambition for an ownership group that's still a little bit new there. Like they came in, they got the stadium off the ground, and we keep pushing towards it. I think we'll get into the point of what does a push towards 20,000 mean in partnership with a report from goal.com that they haven't applied for USL Premier yet. Like there's a wrinkle where you could read this in a certain way. But for now, with what we do know to be confirmed, I think it shows that Sacramento wants to be a leader in this space and continue to do what they've done so well in that community.
I mean, this is a stadium capacity that's going to be 2,000 seats larger than the San Jose Earthquake Stadium and is just 1,000 seats short of the largest stadium in Sacramento entirely. That it really shows their intent. Like when they had announced it, that it was already a very big program that had been coming along the pipeline for a long time. Pretty much ever since Sacramento started as a team, they had these ambitions of building their own stadium, but to continually like move forward with their targets and to have like a real plan in place has been really impressive for the Republic. And they're going to cover all the seats with a roof, which is like very good for what's going to be like still playing through the summer in these very warm weather.
Also, we need to just have more stadiums with roofs. I don't know why the U.S. has this infatuation with just not putting roofs on stadiums, but like, please start putting roofs on. If it rains, you don't have to go inside. You are inside. And I don't mean a dome. I just mean a roof. Your sound stays in. And I don't know. Like the whole thing is just, it blows my mind that we just don't put roofs on things. So it's absolutely insanity to me. So with the wrinkle that you kind of threw in, John, it's been known for a long time that Sacramento has been trying to be MLS bait for a long time, to the point that they had the announcement and then it didn't happen. Like, I think all of us who are in the USL world will call it cynical. I think if we're thinking as a businessman, wouldn't you be dumb to not try and go for the surefire dollar, especially with everything going on with the USL at the moment?
That's where my head is at. And I mean, it is the moment in the USL where it's put up or shut up in a lot of ways, right? You're moving towards Pro Rel, you're moving towards D1. It's a lot of reforms where you hope it's going to go well. You hope maybe, at least in the boardroom, that, hey, maybe it lets us compete with MLS. If you're an organization like Sacramento that's been deeper than anybody in conversations to actually join MLS, you can get the stadium, maybe you get the investment fired back up from the outside sources that can help you pay that expansion fee. It has to be something they have in the back of their mind, because that is the way to level up, like it or not. We've seen the fan bases grow with Cincinnati and Nashville and St. Louis, where there is being in the first division as a differentiator to get people in the door. So I don't know if that's what they're doing. Like, there's no intel that we have here, but I think it is something that they're at least thinking about.
Ryan?
Yeah, and as it seems with MLS, as they make the move to the winter calendar, that they almost seem like they're fine to kind of hold in place for the number of teams that they have currently within the league. But we know MLS is not going to sit at the current number of 30. They're always going to grow. So if someone comes in and flashes $500 million expansion fee, MLS will very gladly give them a new team. And it makes sense that there are still markets within the country who want to appeal themselves as being MLS ready. We see the difficulties the Vancouver Whitecaps have been happening with getting their own stadium. They've always been linked away with relocation. Now, granted, I don't want any team to relocate out of their own city or any city to lose a team. But if we're going to look at this from just kind of a business perspective, yeah, it makes sense if you're building a stadium to try and appeal to what is currently the first division in the United States.
I think the thing for me is that, especially as we are in this time of turmoil with the championship CBA, right? Which I think for a lot of us, that's kind of where our brain is kind of going, especially as we have added the second show of protest, which is starting the second half with a minute of stillness. It's starting to get to the point where tumultuous, if I can even say the word, but you know what I'm trying to say. Long words don't do well with me. But it's getting to a rocky point where if I'm Sacramento, why would I not want to go for something that's more surefire, right? As much as we want to think, hey, guess what? It's going to be, we're going to have Division I and everybody will come out. Something I was talking about when I was up in Asheville, and we'll get to that a little bit. As much as we want to say, hey, this is a second division team or a semi-pro team taking on a League One team, all the people in Asheville really cared about was they were playing a pro team. But imagine if it was an MLS team that they were playing. Meanwhile, at Greenville, right down the road, are they going to get more fans out because they're playing someone from the USL Championship? Somebody's probably going to say, I thought it was all the USL. What are you talking about? For most people, all they know is USL, MLS. The divisions within them don't matter. So if you're a businessman saying, or ma'am, I guess, if you're trying to decide, where am I going? Division I, USL, or MLS? I know which one's going to get more fans in the door.
I gotta stop this for a second. Did you say business, ma'am? Because that rocks if that's what you were going for.
That is what I said.
That's good. That's good stuff. No, but you're absolutely right on all fronts there. Like it or not, again, MLS teams draw. I think about that Open Cup game you guys had against Miami a couple years ago down in Birmingham, where I mean, I think it was the most attended game in club history. Correct me if I'm wrong.
17, almost 18,000. Yep.
Yeah, and that's something we've seen consistently. I mean, even in Sacramento, it's the Open Cup games where you're getting an MLS opponent in there where you're packing the place out. And yes, there are exceptions because that is such a well-supported club. But I think largely it is true of the business reality.
Any final thoughts on this before we go over to the US Open Cup? All right, let me pull up this video so I can get to our top 5 moments from the US Open Cup. It's loading. Okay, we're ready to go. Here we go. the first round of the U.S. Open Cup. These are the top 5 moments submitted to us via our Discord involving USL clubs. We are going to start off with Rhode Island FC's 20-plus pass buildup. We had to speed up the video because otherwise it would be longer than the rest of the clips combined. It ends with some nice tight passes and a tidy finish for Denny Roviera. And that's how this top 5 opens. Number 4 is Devin Boyce's incredible free kick goal versus Asheville City SC to tie it at 1-1. The kids on the hill got an incredible view of this banger, but it wasn't enough as Asheville City wins 3-1. Number 3 has Luca Dorado opening up his Richmond account in style. He fights off a tackle, takes his touch, and from a wide angle, he bangs it in underneath the crossbar. Richmond would go on to win this one 2-1. Number 2 gives us our first repeat player of the year, and who else would it be than Aaron Malloy? The ball falls to the Irishman, he takes a touch and finishes with his weak foot half volley. This match would end 9-0 to Lexington SC. Number 1 is Dylan Borjak's unbelievable half volley goal. You aren't going to see many goals better than this one. Not only is it a half volley, but it has one of the craziest knuckleball finishes into the side netting that I have ever seen. Union Omaha would go on to win 8-0. It may not be the number 1 play of the week, but it was my favorite moment of the week. Benasane Fall has some of the best you-know-what housery I think I've ever seen. He goes down with an apparent injury, and then when playing it out from the back goes wrong, he sends Asheville City into a frenzy at the final whistle. We got some more content coming from this match, so keep your eye out from it. But Benasane Fall, have yourself a moment, kid. And in today's video, how about Vermont Green fans showing us that maple syrup is almost as sweet as cup set victories? Almost. All right. That was our top 5 U.S. Open Cup moments of the week. It's a little bit choppy if you're watching it on the stream, so I apologize about that. But we have the standalone video on the YouTube if you want to see it in its full, like 35 to 60 frames glory. So there were a lot of fun moments from the U.S. Open Cup, but I want to start with the last moment we saw, which was Vermont Green taking down Portland Hearts of Pine in what was one of the most incredible atmospheres you would ever see out of the Bernie Bayo.
I always forget that's the nickname of the stadium there. That's so good. But, I mean, that looks like a Vermont team that was energized by the environment. I don't know the last time I've seen Portland get outplayed that thoroughly. Like, Vermont absolutely controlled them. They've got this duo in the midfield, Tyler Caton and Connor Miller. Both are kind of college standouts who are going to be in either MLS or the championship in the near future. And they ran the show. Ollie Wright couldn't get involved. A lot of the stars for Portland couldn't get involved. The goal they got was kind of this quicker move. You take what you can get. There should have been more goals for Vermont Green, frankly. But yeah, massive statement that showcased a lot of what that program has been doing right over the last couple of years, really.
And it just kind of showcased the amount of just how much the USL and the sport has grown within the New England region as well. Like, hey, we see that within the Jägermeister Cup of just having those very close by matches as well. But like the fact that Vermont, who had the success, the storyline of USL 2 last season, was able to go up against the team that had really captured a lot of the cultural attention that USL 1 had generated as well. And it had a fantastic atmosphere with 2 teams that are generally very well liked across the US landscape. This is what the Open Cup is all about, and to see Vermont go through was just a fantastic performance.
I mean, David Ismail's going to get the glory here, and as he should. Granted, it was the most tap in of all time. Like, I've never seen a player more wide open in the middle of the goal. It was crazy. But John, you mentioned how this could have been more goals to Vermont Green. So let's talk about the team that Portland put out there, because it wasn't like it was a fully rotated squad. They had Kamara, they had other Kamara with a K, not C. They had Wada, they had Ollie Wright, they had Barbosa, they got Benageron, they got Amor out there, or Armour, they got Mensa, they had Morse. I mean, they started pretty much everybody except for their center backs, which even Faye is. Was he start? Did he start?
Well, I mean, Kamali Green was the guy all of last year. Like, he's a legitimate League One player. Yeah.
Like this was a League One lineup. This wasn't like they just put out a couple of people. Mensah being the only one that's not a nailed on starter in this team. Everybody else can start, and Portland fans feel happy about it. Vermont took it to them, and something that Alex and we talked about in our League One preview was in the past it was the league was ran on like or Missouri State players. Everybody who plays in League One played at Missouri State. Well, guess what? It's starting to become Vermont Green now. Half of League One were former Missouri State or Vermont Green players. Somebody has to be both. I don't know who it is, but somebody does. But you're going to see some of these guys make it into MLS Next Pro. You're going to see some of these guys play at your favorite League One championship club, heck, even MLS or abroad. Vermont Green is a talent factory, and for people just to widely say, oh, League Two, I think are missing the point because this is legit talent on this team.
No, and it's a huge credit to what they built, like Chris Taylor, over the course of these past couple of years, taking this from a team that has had the mission and had the community to one that has become a draw for these college kids who want to come up and have a League Two experience. That's why we're seeing the talent. It's the players are chasing that experience of being there, experiencing this community. It's a model for what League Two can be as a platform in a lot of ways.
And while it wasn't Missouri State that you were at least on the 2026 Open Cup roster, they still had 6 players from the University of Vermont that featured on this roster as well. A team that did make a deep run in the last men's NCAA college soccer tournament as well.
They won it 2 years ago, right? And yeah. I mean, this is legit. And I think for a lot of people, the Northeast revitalization of soccer, I think, is something that we've all enjoyed seeing. I mean, you look at Portland, you look at Vermont, you look at Rhode Island. I mean, Brooklyn is building up there once again. You're seeing Westchester building once again up there. You're starting to see the Northeast really grow again. And I think it's exciting for everybody because what should other than let's face it, like highly populated Latin areas, you would think the Northeast would be the place that has soccer. That's kind of where it started professionally in this country. And the fact that it died off for a while, I think it makes this revitalization even sweeter.
Yeah, and to the point you were making about last year's roster, Musa Ndiaye, he's starting every game and playing 90 minutes for Boise. Owen O'Malley's doing it for Richmond. I think Tenzing Mansky, I don't know if he's played for Madison yet, but again, 3 guys who immediately made the jump into League One. It's a real talent factory up there.
Yaniv Bazzini played up there as well.
Yeah.
Dibon Wegbo was a player up there. Diarbian for Birmingham Legion played up there as well. Like, if chances are your favorite team has someone who's been at Vermont Green at some point. It's a legit talent factory at this point. Any final thoughts on that Open Cup match?
I guess as good a time as ever to say they're playing Westchester next round. I was at the Westchester game, and shout out for the kit, which I'm going to wrap. Collar kit. We love to see it.
You do love to see that. Well, I'll talk about where we're going next, or where I was at. Asheville City SC, another one of the League Two teams, a down upper division opponent. We didn't forget about you, Flint City Bucks, because you did beat Ford Madison, but also I wasn't there. So let's talk about the match I was at, which was Asheville City taking down the Greenville Triumph. And if you watched it on TV or if you were there in person, the right team won very easily. I mean, Asheville was the much, much, much better team on the day. Granted, they had 5 former League One players in that squad. Yeah. Wasn't a bad team for Asheville, but it was an amazing atmosphere despite it. I know people in Vermont will say, whatever, get over yourself, loser. But it was 35 degrees. Dang it. I was cold. It was a cool day, and it was still a really fun matchup. And for a team that's as historic in the Southeast as Asheville, they've been around for a while now, about 10 years now. This is their first ever win in the US Open Cup. So it was really cool to be a part of that atmosphere and experience it in person.
And you had called it last week on the show that Asheville had a good chance at upsetting Greenville when you were en route to traveling there.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it felt like a match that Asheville, because Asheville last year, if you weren't keeping up, they only lost one match all year long, and that was in the playoffs. They only conceded 3 goals the entire season until the playoffs. Like, they were a legit back line. Again, another team that's constantly producing talent. There's a lot of Asheville players out there. They're one team that's going to keep doing it. They're defensively sound. They have goal scorers. They have everything that you want from a cup set squad.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about the guys on this roster, to your point, Kaylor. Geb Parada, the goalkeeper, he was in Pittsburgh for a year or two. Johnny Fennick has been around the championship and League One. Bayer ended last season in Richmond. Trezor Mbuyu was a really good scorer for the Independents. Evan Southern, who gets the opening goal, was in Portland last year. Like, that's I don't know if they're a playoff team in League One, but that's a legitimate competitive League One roster.
Yep.
And they came out, they pressed Greenville, they never let them find a rhythm. You think about the late efforts, we saw the one, but it's a lot of taking the ball away and creating these quick breaks. Asheville didn't sit back and get lucky. Like, they were the aggressor in this match in a way that really bodes well for their future if they maybe want to pull off another one of these cup sets.
One thing for me whenever I was there was Greenville in the first half were really trying to get their style down. We're going to build from the back. We're going to build from the back. We're going to build from the back. Asheville put on one of the most aggressive presses I have seen in a long time. I mean, it very much reminded me of the Tulsa versus New Mexico match in the playoffs last year. Of Greenville kept trying to build from the back, and Asheville did not give them a second to breathe. To Greenville's credit, by halftime, they just stopped doing that. They didn't try to keep forcing it. But even so, you see what the press does. I mean, at the very end of the match, you saw Benasani Fall have just go to the ground with a quote unquote injury. Daniel Wu takes way too big of a touch, pressing it from while building out from the back. It's a quick, cheap goal. Final whistle blows. That last goal was what was happening the entire first half. I mean, that was their game plan. They were going to take it to Greenville, and Greenville was playing decently. It wasn't like Greenville was playing poorly. That's the thing that was shocking to me. You expect when you see a League Two team take it to a League One or championship team, it's like, well, the pro team must have been playing bad. Not really. Greenville wasn't playing that bad. It was just Asheville was legit.
And I think that's broadly true of a lot of the cup set games this year, where you saw good lineups, you saw pretty good performances from the teams that lost, and these lower league clubs just brought it. Like, the level that we're seeing from them has gotten better year over year. It means that you have to take the Open Cup seriously, and I think that's a good thing for the tournament.
And especially now for the upcoming second round, like, these teams are one win away from playing MLS sides. Like, if you're looking at Asheville against Knoxville, they could be very well matched up against Charlotte SC or Atlanta United in the next round as well. Like, there are some really enticing matchups that could potentially happen here in the third round. But, like, there are other very interesting games. Like, we're getting Blue Grassico again as well. Vermont's going up against Westchester, Rhode Island, Hartford again. So, like, the second round is going to be a lot of fun next week.
In case you didn't know, with Asheville versus One Knox, this one is a trophy game, as they have a battle for a boot, which I think is just fun. It's the Blue Mountain Classic, I think is what it's called, Blue Mountain Series. And so, like, Blue Ridge Series, I think is what it's called. Anyway, they have a boot that's mounted onto a trophy, and they play for it. This happened back in League Two when they were together in that league for 1 or 2 years. And it's just fun to see a old rivalry come back. And I know there were a lot of Rhode Island fans in particular, some Lexington Lou City fans that were just like, we really got to do the rivalry thing again. Like, we've really getting El Clamico part 4 or 5, depending on how everything goes this year. Like, do we really need that? But with getting these rivalry pairings, you get reignition of old rivalries like one Knox and Nashville. And go check out the comments in those on like Instagram and Twitter and stuff. Those two fan bases are excited about this and having this come back alive, which is what this is all about. Any final thoughts on this one?
I love the cup.
So good. So good. All right, let's go ahead over to Super League. But before we do, how about this week's top 5 moments of the week? Welcome to top 5 moments of the week. We are opening up this week's edition with a great passing sequence from Spokane Velocity. This one may have Jackson's name on the score sheet, but every Velocity player can hang their hat on this one as it would end in a 3-1 victory. Just as a reminder, every single clip you see on here was submitted to us via our Discord. So if you want to see a future top 5 moment, check out the link down below. I tried really hard to pick just a top 5, but 3 moments for Birmingham versus the Battery stood out for me. The first being a far post save by Justine Colliot. The second being a goal line clearance by the future Werder Bremen man Rami Zamuda. The final being an absolutely stunning save by Colliot, but it wouldn't be enough as the Batteries come back to win 3-2. Number 3 takes us to the Super League. Paige Kenton receives the ball out wide, turns, and on her first touch, sends it to the top corner of the far post. This will be the second goal of a 4-0 win for Sporting Jacks. Number 2 is one that comes up in the clutch. In the 82nd minute, Owen Dom receives a peach of a backheeled ball from Pierre, and Dom rifles this one past the Las Vegas Lights goalkeeper to win this win 3-2. Number 1 is a goal that you can put on repeat for years to come. Javier Quazera calls for the ball, touches it down, and curls it as top corner as you could possibly put it. It's hard to beat a goalkeeper like Farouk, but there's not a goalkeeper on the planet that could stop this wonder goal by Quazera. It wouldn't be enough, though, as Louisville wins 4-2. And with those top 5 moments of the week, let's start off with the Super League, which was not the match that we just talked about, but it does involve Dallas. But Dallas on the right side of this one, as they get a come from behind a draw where they were up, or sorry, Lexington gets a come from behind draw where Lexington goes up 1-0. Bourgeois gets an early goal. Missimo ties it up for Dallas. Lauren Flynn goes ahead, but in the 93rd minute, Catherine Berry gets the point saver for Lexington. The battle between the two horse teams have been really great matches this year. I'm not really sure, and this also comes with what happened on Sunday with Sporting Jacks versus Dallas, where Sporting Jacks just boat raced them entirely 4-0. I can't tell if this is Lexington is just kind of meandering along, or if this is Dallas starting to kind of fall apart at this point.
I think this match in particular, which took place last Wednesday, is a good example of teams kind of figuring out how can you slow Lexington down. And it's the high 4-1-4-1 press. You're trying to mark through the midfield and just make sure that you can't get touches for the Lexington forwards. You're not letting them set a tempo. And it's a real credit to Lexington that they found ways around that. Like, you think about the goal that they get to take the lead in this game. They're trying to play a big cross-field switch. They get Griffith making the recovery on the wing. And then it's just quick combination play, and Bourgeois basically dribbles half the field because she recognizes, oh, we played over the press and now we've got an ability to break. I don't think that's a play you would have seen from Lexington in November. So in that sense, I came away feeling pretty promising about where they're headed. And I think they showed why in beating Fort Lauderdale over the weekend. Dallas, I like what they do on a game-to-game basis. There's just something about the offense that doesn't quite have enough consistency. Like, both goals in this game are set pieces or the extended run up after them. You think about the Jacksonville loss and they just have no ability to play through lines. This was a good result, but I think not enough to galvanize them in what's becoming a tight bubble race.
And they're the 4th lowest scoring team currently in the Super League right now. And while they were able to take 4 points in back-to-back games against Lexington. Here, like the -7 goal differential that they currently have is the one like negative goal differential team above the playoff line, when you have DC Power and Spokane kind of right behind them within at least a game and a half or so of getting across the playoff line, and they have at least neutral or positive goal differentials. Yeah, there is at least a trend that Dallas Trinity might be on the outside of the playoff picture come season's end.
Just watching this match, one thing that was really standing out to me was we were kind of seeing, for me, I don't want to call it transformation, but you were mentioning it kind of working through the middle, and how are they going to change what they were doing and allowing their forwards to get to the ball. Well, what I saw personally was they were going out wide and we're putting in more crosses in this match, which, like you mentioned, John, this was just not a wrinkle that we kind of saw in the past. I mean, you saw multiple moments where Amina Ekic, shocker, was putting in a ball of quality, right? No, obviously, that's just what she does. But you're also seeing it from Mackenzie Weiner, playing it out from that left-hand side, putting in a good ball. You even saw a couple of those deeper lying passes. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Raji, Daria Raji. Like she was playing and pinging some balls out from deep midfield, from that deeper lying position, and playing some really nice passes through. It's not as, I don't want to call it direct, but it's not as we're going to just touch it around you in the midfield. They're willing to put in those deeper lying balls, those deeper lying crosses. And if that's a new wrinkle for Lexington, watch out Super League.
Yeah, 100%. And the way that they defended Dallas, I came away impressed with. And they've been a great defensive team all year long. I think they're lowest in the league. Like they've only given up 21 goals this year. It was the way that they used Bourgeois, letting her kind of flex up that right side and really be aggressive, marking Sierra Hinson, who's been an engine for this Dallas team up the wing for a lot of the season. That put a plug in what they tried to do, bending her upfield and kind of forced Dallas to get to plan B. Yes, only a draw for Lexington, but you see them kind of getting that momentum again after what was a little bit of a shaky run coming out of the winter break.
And looking into Lexington's future schedule for the month of April, they do have 2 road games against Carolina Ascent and Sporting Jacks that will go a long way of pretty much setting the playoff picture.
Before we move over to League One, I'm just going to kind of loosely ask the question, 1 to 10, 10 being the not at all, 1 being not at all, 10 being absolutely freaked out. How worried should I be about Dallas going forward?
I am worried because of how well DC has been playing and by the fact that Spokane is lurking. Like if I'm Dallas, I have the self-belief that I think I'm going to make it through, but boy, is there pressure on our behind. I think a 5 out of 10 is a good place to be. Like you're worried, but you're not panicking.
Dallas needs to string together back-to-back wins, like between now and the end of the season. They haven't done that since December. And when you see that Spokane has strung together back-to-back wins here, that is certainly putting pressure on Dallas.
Follow up. If I'm Lexington, is there any world where, like, reasonably of saying they're catching up to Sporting Jacks at this point, or is it just a battle for number 2?
Feels like a battle for number 2 for my money.
Yeah.
I'll do the prediction by April 25th when these two teams do play. There will still be at least 3 Sporting Jacks games and 3 Lexington games left. That I think that if Lexington don't win that game, Jacks will have clinched number 1.
Perfect.
Lexington's drawn 10 times this year, by the way. That's a lot.
More than wins.
Yeah, more draws than wins. That's right. Kaler has gone to frozen mode, it seems. Well, in any event, we are going to slide over to League One.
One of those being to
okay.
Okay, I'm
You
back.
love to see
I don't
it.
know what
You
that
back?
was.
Perfect.
I'm back. That was so bizarre. I was just going to say they've only lost twice, but Big Lexington didn't want me to talk about that.
Yeah.
So let's go to League One. And unfortunately, Phil isn't here to have his anti-Boise slander, which was only one time, but it's funny that stuck around. Where Union Omaha goes and they take on Boise at home, decent little attendance. Starts off with an own goal that goes in favor of Union Omaha. Then it's tied up with a penalty by Brito. It's 1-1. Union Omaha get it back. Diego Gutierrez, the hometown kid, gets a 2-1 lead. But then Philip Mayaka ties it up. And at this point, it's like, this is awesome. This is everything we wanted this match to be. The hometown hero, Diego Gutierrez. Look at you go, dude. He gets the game winner 3-2. And there was an own goal. There was a penalty. And if you can exclude the first two goals of this match, the rest of this match was awesome.
And I will say, in kind of a you feel bad for the guy sense, the Joseph Endema own goal was awesome in a certain way. Like if you're thinking about what's the most insane way that you can give up the first goal in team history, your goalie dropping the ball off a guy's foot into the net is probably up there with the worst ways to do it. And that I don't want to take away from the fact that I thought Boise actually looked very good in what is always a tough away game to Omaha. I have no doubts watching them that they've got the ticks down with what you are expecting from Nate Miller soccer. I think they struggled to a certain degree to build through the press, but most teams are going to have that issue against Omaha. And that was really the engine for Omaha, because it was kind of the same thing where it was a lot of long balls from them, not as much control through the midfield. But if they could turn the ball over and then find Gutierrez as this super sub in these kind of transitional moments, that was the way to go. And the first goal he gets, they force the takeaway, they work the ball around, they find him with a cross. The second one, a little bit more direct, like you take the ball away, immediate through ball to Gutierrez, and he scores. Having that kind of difference maker who you can trust to be the guy, and he's coming late in games with fresh legs, that's enormous. So I think this was meaningful in a lot of ways for how I think about Omaha at the top of the table early on in this season.
Yeah, like if I'm Boise, I'm looking at Omaha as basically the prototype that we want to emulate moving forward. Like this is everything that Boise wants to become as a League One club. And the fact that they were 7 minutes away from getting what would have been a massive result at one of the toughest places to go in Omaha right now against a very difficult team to play, I still think goes a long way to speak about what Nate Miller is building within Boise. And I'd even backed them to get a result out of this one up. And then obviously it didn't come to fruition, but I'm still encouraged by what I'm seeing out of Boise to start the year. But I mean, like Omaha is just Omaha. They're consistently good. And the state of Nebraska just seems to be having a moment with their teams right now.
No kidding. The one thing for me that because before we started this year, we were like, okay, do we really believe in Boise this much? Are they going to be able to take on a Portland Hearts of Pine, a Union Omaha? For our USL show predictions, we predicted Union Omaha to finish first. And as I was kind of thinking about the season and looking at Boise's roster, the more I started kind of buying into maybe they're the best team in the league, just roster wise. And then I watched this match, and the way that Omaha were able to limit Boise chances, scoring opportunities without sacrificing offensive fluidity was stunning. I mean, they were using Guidry and they were using Baudadi. They were using them as extremely attacking fullbacks, and yet they never felt like they were out of position because they were dropping Caceres and Brandon Knapp. They were dropping them both deep as holding midfielders just to kind of screen the back line, hold possession we needed, so they could let their wing backs do their thing and get into the attack. And yet, normally for most teams, that means, hey, we're just going to be giving up some chances. We'll just trust our center backs. Defensively, they were stopping things before they ever had chances to take shots. Yes, they got 8 shots off, but only 2 of them were on target because Omaha was forcing bad chances. I think that it was a masterclass in how to control a midfield that not just League One, but every coach should just be watching Union Omaha of how can you control a midfield and still allow your back line to get into the attack. It was so impressive.
Yeah, and Budati's got 16 cross attempts in 2 games so far. Like, he has just been
Rocks.
pumping those balls in from the right side. And that's a championship level player. Like, I was surprised when Omaha got him, and that's a statement of intent to sign a player of that quality who you get because he is good with that kind of service. And you're so right to talk about the midfield base and the way they sit them deep. Caceres has been a revelation. I think in the first game that Omaha played against Spokane, it was a lot more of the short passing and the tempo setting that really impressed me. In this one, it's the defensive positioning, the way he's battling for duels. He looked good when he got some rare minutes for Lexington last year, and whoever was doing the scouting in Omaha, like, they saw something and they were right about it because he's been great for them.
And you mentioned Budati and like just the wide areas and what he's doing. I mean, it kind of works out either way because this is so gross. He's either going to be playing alongside of Adrian Billhart or Prosper Kasim on that right-hand side. And then on the other side, you have Sergio Ors, or you can have Diego Gutierrez. Like, you have so much options over on these winged areas that are giving you different things. One's going to be just pumping balls into the box. The other one's going to be cutting inside and trying to curl one to the back post. If you're a fullback or a central defender, what do you do? Because you have overlapping runs, you have people cutting inside, you're being spread every which way. I don't know how you defend this area.
Yeah, 100%.
Anything else from this match? All right. Well, let's go ahead and go to our championship match, which we're going to talk about 2 for sure, and then we'll hit some extra time. So let's go ahead and start off with 2 comeback, 1 victory, 1 draw, where Charleston Battery come back from 2-0 down versus Birmingham Legion to win 3-2 in extra time. Patriots Point was absolutely rocking, but not first before Romario Williams and Samuel Joshua get 2 goals in back-to-back minutes. And then it's all hands on deck in terms of defending. The Battery turn on the pressure. Colton Swan gets his. Emilio Yakaza gets a penalty. And then Emilio Yakaza gets the game winner. It was awesome from Patriots Point. And just another example on why Charleston is just kind of them.
And more interesting because Charleston, I think, probably got it wrong out of the gates in this one. I'm not here to say that the Sean Suber, Husu Landry pivot was terrible. They were up and down, but they weren't ready to defend against what Birmingham do in transition. And I don't think they understood that Pasher and Shashua, whenever they got a touch, were just going to rip through the lines and then set up Diarbian and Ngoma with these ambitious vertical passes. And that speed is why Birmingham went up. And so Ben Pierman then realizes, okay, different game state. We have different needs. We're going to get Swan into this game because we need another striker's presence in the box. And then we're going to get Akaza in because he'll pass through the midfield. He'll make the late arriving runs, do a little bit of everything. The fact that those are the players that get on the score sheet and those are the ones that Pierman focused on as his game-changing substitutes says everything about him as a manager and why he is special in that position. It is one of those games where I come away kind of feeling good about everybody involved. Going to Charleston is always really hard, and the Legion are continuing to show me why you've been bullish about them, Gaylor. Right? They're really looking like a sharp attacking team right now. Yes, you wish you held on for points, but Charleston is Charleston at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, Charleston trailed at home by 2 goals or more in the first half for the first time since May 2023. So, like, this was at least uncharted waters for Charleston in quite some time. But the fact that they still made those adjustments at halftime, came back and got all 3 points, and I never lost faith in them for that money line wager as well. Like, this was still a very good battery team to kind of come back and get results, to never count them out. But yeah, if you're Birmingham, you still have to be encouraged by the performance that they were basically a couple minutes away from and still getting a result out of this match. And it's still something to build on moving forward. But yeah, with Louisville having their coaching change, and we may or may talk about them, may or may not talk about them later, but like Charleston has to be like really excited about the chance to become the top dog in the Eastern Conference and possibly in the league.
For me, there's a couple of points that I'm not saying that Legion walk away with 3 points. I do think that it was incredible watching what was happening. They bring on Amelia Kaza, they bring on Langston Blackstock, they bring on Malik Foster, they bring on Colton Swan. Like, that's not okay. That's just not fair. Why can't you do that? But as that was happening, you kind of felt I felt like it was going to happen almost inevitably, even if Bryce Washington doesn't get hurt. And I understand that you also have an injury that goes for the other side, which was, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. It's Douglas Martinez, sorry, that goes down with that same concussion protocol. But Bryce Washington provided a little bit of speed to the back line that unfortunately Fanuel Kavita didn't really have. I think the other side of this, besides just that, which is if they have Bryce Washington, do they handle Miguel Berry a little bit more? Do they handle Colton Swan a little bit more? Maybe. I also think that having a second striker on the team right now would have made a big difference. John, you mentioned the game state, right? And they may not know what game state is. Basically, every goal score line has a different game state. The way a team is winning 2-0 is going to be playing different than a team losing 2-0. Team losing 2-0 is going to be putting more players forward. Traditionally, the team winning 2-0 kind of turtles and just kind of hides a little bit, which is what Birmingham did. You can't do that against this Charleston team. You can't just try to shut up shop for 45 minutes against Charleston. It's not going to work. And if they had a Ronaldo Damas on this team, and let's say he comes off and you bring on Romario Williams, you still have a striker on this team. Instead, Romario Williams comes off, the team's left strikerless, and you're just having to defend against this Charleston team. It's never going to work. It's just not. They're way too good, and you just don't want to give them that much pressure. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't say Justine Kolelat is legit. He's the best. So there's that.
In way too early all-league discussion, like, I think Kolelat is going to be in that conversation. Just based on what I've seen of him so far, like, he is next level in a way that raises the floor for Birmingham pretty considerably, for my money.
Yep. Any final thoughts on this one?
I do want to say with Charleston, I had my doubts about this team. Like, you lose that amount of star power, you come into a new year, it would be easy for this to be kind of slow developing. So the fact that they can just come in and make a classic Charleston comeback, and it's on the back of Ikaza, who's been there forever, and a teenage striker that they added, that is a testament to what Ben Pierman has built, his system, the buy-in he gets in that changing room. Like, really impressive stuff from the battery.
And we're 2 weeks away from the first meeting of Louisville-Charleston on April 4th as well.
Yeah.
I want to just ask you a quick question, John, because I'm looking at Suber, I'm looking at Smith, and I'm looking at Akaponu. I know it's not Ben Pierman's style, but especially when you have Martinez and Messer, wouldn't you be tempted by a 5-man back line?
You're right to lead with the fact that it is not Pierman's style, because I think that's going to be decisive here. But, man, there are not 3 center backs in the league that are more built for a back 3. I would love to see them try it at a bare minimum.
right. Any final thoughts here? All right. Let's go ahead and go out west where Phoenix Rising Stadium got a absolute banger of a match. Oakland Roots go up 2-0 from my favorite name in the USL. Mr. Wolfgang Princess himself gets a goal in the first half, and then Julian Bravo gets one right before halftime. But Diego Gomez gets one in the 85th minute, and in the 96th minute, Gunnar Studenhoft gets the game winner or game tire from a Charlie Dennis assist. This one was just fun. This one was just so much fun. And I left thinking about Oakland is still as good as I thought, but Phoenix and Paul Maduka's team just still has that late game heroics in them from last year, which saved them how many points? How many 90-plus minute game tires do we see last year? They still got it. And if they can do this all year long, A, go see your cardiologist. B, like, go ahead and mark them for the playoffs because these games add up to playoff games.
Yeah, and you are correct. Like, that is the correct takeaway from this game. That said, you have to be frustrated if you're Phoenix Rising. It's the 80th minute, you're down 2-0, and you've put up 0.2 XG. Like, at some point, you have to stop putting yourself in the position where you need to be doing these late game comebacks. And there were moments, especially in the first half, where Phoenix's defense just didn't have any organization to it. And that's a testament to Oakland in the way that they are so free-flowing and can beat you through the lines. But at the same time, I just expected year 2 of the project for Rising to be a little bit more organized. And credit to Ryan Martin. I thought the decision to get Danny Trejo into the starting lineup for this game was intelligent on 2 fronts. Like, one, he's a former Rising player. You know he's going to show up for that moment. 2, this is a Phoenix team that wants to press pretty aggressively up the wings. So if you've got this player in Danny Trejo who you can play around them, and then you've got one of the best one-on-one attackers in the league, free against a fullback, smart decision-making, smart player deployments. And you saw the benefits for it for Oakland when they are rampant towards the end of the first half. So I think you're right about this, where you still feel good about Oakland. This sort of thing happens. It's just weird with Phoenix for me.
I was going back through their 2025. So in the entire entire season, they scored 9 goals after the 80th minute. That was either en route to or that changed the outcome of the game. To be fair, there was that early one against El Paso. I think it was that 4-4 draw where they scored 3 past the 80th. So like already a third of them came from that one game. But yeah, like to call upon like having to do this 9 times in a season was incredibly lucky last year and clearly isn't sustainable over a long term. Or maybe it is. Maybe they do it 2 years in a row. But yeah, like if I'm Ryan Martin from Oakland, like I'm still incredibly encouraged from what I'm seeing with the Oakland Roots. And when they went up 2-0, I got a money line payout anyways, but beside the point, they still like are incredibly encouraging moving forward that, yeah, I think they'll be fine. This is just one of those matches where you shrug and it's like, yeah, disappointing not to get the win, but we'll be okay.
You know, last year, what we saw with Phoenix was it was them and Richmond and Detroit City had some of the best set piece design that you saw in the league. They were taking advantage of set piece decisions. And last year, Phoenix's late game heroics, almost all of them came from a set piece or a corner routine that was able to beat man marking or take advantage of zonal marking, whatever they were doing. This felt weirdly more sustainable in how they won in this match. And I don't mean that's or how they drew in this match. And John, you mentioned the fact that they didn't create anything going into the 80th minute, but also after the 80th minute, it finally felt like something clicked. And maybe Paul Maduka just starts with that. But also, we're starting to get to the point where we're in year 2 now. And if this becomes a thing for them again, do we need to start telling Maduka that the match is already in the 80th before we go. Like, what's the flip? Like, what switch is flipping in this team that when they're losing with 10 minutes to go that they just turn it on? Like, why can they not do it for a full 90?
No, and I think it is a game state thing to a certain degree, like we kind of just had in the last conversation, where for all intents and purposes, Phoenix just doesn't have a proper striker in their lineup in this match. They think Isan Sako is a winger. They think Charlie Dennis is a winger. So you're already having an arm tied behind your back. And then gradually you get Studenhoft in, you go 2 strikers with Capetillo in. Lo and behold, with 2 strikers, you score more goals. Who would have thought? And I get it. Phoenix has had a lot of injury troubles. This, especially in the back line, just not what they expected to be dealing with at the moment. I think there are more proactive ways to get around the hurdles than we've seen from them so far.
Any final thoughts on this match? All right, let's go ahead and hit extra time. And I want to start off with Lou City versus Rhode Island, which we talk about Quezera's wonder goal at the very beginning. And then not too long after, Jake Morris, dude kicks the ball like it, like, I don't know, assaulted his girlfriend or something. I don't know. Like, he absolutely kicks the ball like he hates it, ties it up, and then it all falls apart. We get red cards thrown out. We get a double yellow to Connor Smith, which, Ryan, can you check for me and see if Rhode Island is playing at home next? Because if so, that means we're about to get another Connor Smith on the roof picture, which I am so looking forward to.
You're at Pitbull Stadium.
Even better.
Yeah. Him and Pitbull at the very top. That'd be great. But Louisville win 4-2. And on one hand, it felt inevitable because Lou City looked fantastic, as they always do. But Rhode Island showed something for me that I wasn't really ready for, I guess, which they just looked a little bit more competent going forward than I was prepared for.
Yeah, and with Lou City on the broadcast, they were talking about Simon Bird kind of sees himself as more of a possession manager than Danny Cruz was. I'm interested to see how much of a change we get this season and going forward. But you think about I think the first 2 goals of the game for Louisville, it's moving the ball from the right side to the left, getting Ray Serrano involved in these dangerous spaces in front of the back line. And Louisville always has runners ahead of whoever's on the ball, bodies in the box. You think about what they get from Jake Morris, kind of playing off of Chris Donovan, this give and go, which isn't very clean, but it does the job because it's just a lot of bodies forward and Rhode Island can't clear. I think there is a happy medium for the Simon Bird era where they're happier to be in possession, but they've still got the counter press. They're still aggressive. And I know it's early season, rose-tinted glasses. I'm not mad about this if I'm Rhode Island. Really good ideas in possession, continuing to grow with Leo Alfonso and Pity Rodriguez. It's what I said about the Birmingham game, frankly. Like, if you go on the road to Charleston, you're in for a bad time. Exact same thing at Lynn Family Stadium.
And this is a Rhode Island team who has scored a goal on every single visit they've had to Lynn Family Stadium. They've walked out of the stadium with a 3-0 victory in the playoffs and a 5-2 victory as well. Like, this is a team who's frustrated Louisville in the past. And I even said it in my weekly preview that, yeah, this is going to be a difficult game for Louisville. And it made me have a little bit of pause for Simon Bird's new era, the new project. But like, after seeing this match, like, yeah, Louisville is going to be fine. They are just going to continue with the pieces they've already built. And honestly, going up against Brooklyn next week, you could really start to see a lot of what Simon Bird is going to be doing with this team, because that's a perfect match to really kind of experiment with as much as you can early season before you get Blue Classico after that. But yeah, if you're Rhode Island, that this is what it is. Louisville is a difficult stadium to enter to that you've had success with. Rebounding against Miami the next week is a very good way to get things back on track.
You know, and this match could have been way different. Hugo Farou makes 2 really incredible saves in this match. Obviously, the first one, Quezera, what can you do? No one's stopping that. But if you go back and watch this match, Farouk makes two great saves where this one could have easily been 4-4, honestly, on a different day or a different goalkeeper in net. This was a fairly even match where maybe Lou City takes advantage of, like they just kind of take advantage of being a man up at the very end. Yeah, for sure. But even so, if I'm Rhode Island, I'm not happy about losing, but I think calmer heads need to prevail in Rhode Island land and realize that it was a really good performance, that a worse team, a worse goalkeeper, or even just slightly different footing from a goalkeeper, and you're winning this match even. Like, it was that good of a performance from Rhode Island.
Yep. And for a team that the offense and the lack thereof was their problem throughout last season, the fact that they possibly could have had 4 goals at Lou City is as good a sign as any for their long-term hopes.
Do you guys have other extra time thoughts?
I'd love to throw out the Spokane Cosmos game, which
Yes.
was kind of this midday matinee on Saturday. And full credit to Spokane, who came in there and looked like the best team in League One. And we've talked a lot about midfield control or lack thereof. Spokane had their way through the center of the park. Luis Heel was really involved. Jack Denton was great as always and gets a deserved goal, kind of making this late run into the box. That said, I think the biggest thing for me here is the Cosmos defense is not very good at the moment. They can't stop anybody. There's no communication at the back. That was always going to be the question mark given the composition of this roster. And I don't think I've seen anything, as they've given up 6 goals in 2 games, that's making me think otherwise quite yet.
No, one thing for me with Spokane, Spokane, and I'm thinking about this with the idea of the Cosmos defense. And that first goal where they were just passing, Spokane was just passing everywhere, just really pretty passing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's many teams in League One that are stopping that. But you saw Spokane do stuff like that repeatedly, not necessarily in the final third, but leading up to scoring opportunities where it's just a little bit easy. And I'm not sure if it's the back line or maybe you're pointing question marks at Cito, and Mila Vanoff. They're 2 holding midfielders, and they're just not slowing anything down before they get to the back line. It's a little bit Greenville Triumph of last year, where they have fun midfield talent. They had decent backline talent, but there was no midfield to slow down what was coming at the back line. And to me, it's kind of giving that same energy.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And as the Cosmos are going to soon learn that travel in USL 1 is just incredibly difficult. That game was happening at noon local time for Spokane, and it's already going from one end of the country to the other. So yeah, some of these things are just results that happen from playing far-reaching road games.
And I do just want to say, like, Spokane played a midweek Open Cup match. The Cosmos had full rest, and then this is what happened. That probably just reflects on Spokane being very deep and a great soccer team. But yeah, tough luck early on in the year for New York.
Sorry, go ahead, Kaylor.
No, you go first.
I was just going to say my extra time one is Tampa Bay back. I mean, if you're looking at their performance they had against Pittsburgh right now, the reigning champions going into Al Lang for Tampa Bay's home opener, they obviously had the week off for not playing in the Open Cup, but like they had 2.64 XG at 0.21 from Pittsburgh and had an emphatic 3-0 victory. Like, I think Tampa Bay under Dom Casciato is really finding their form, and they're returning to the Rowdies teams of old that we kind of remembered them as.
I fully am in the boat that it's going to be Louisville and Rowdies for Players Shield.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a discussion to be had about, is Pittsburgh any good this year? That's not for right now. What I do know is that Tampa Bay picked them apart, controlled everything about that game. Joe Labella and Micheletto, I think, was the strike partnership for this match, which boy, oh boy, that's not something I expected to be seeing from Tampa Bay, just given the talent they got in the front line. And they looked so natural. They're both really good about receiving with their back to goal, kind of keeping defenders off of them and letting runs develop. And the flair we've seen out wide from guys like Sebastian Cruz and Dion Akoff, who made the jump from League One. Obviously, Cicerone gets a goal in this game. You knew he was going to be doing a lot of that this year. There's not a deeper team in the USL, and despite the fact that there was such a broad roster overload for them, they look like they've been playing Dom Casciato soccer for 5 years. Like the chemistry is just instant there.
Doesn't hurt that you have like half a team who has been playing Dom Casciato soccer for 5 years.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
April 11th, we have Tampa Bay hosting Oakland Roots, which honestly, like, that would not be
That's
a
a great
surprising
game.
Cup final. And then the very following week, Tampa Bay travels to Charleston.
It's awesome. I have a quick question for you specifically, John. Indy versus Detroit. How are you feeling?
This is the best I have felt about Indy 11 since that Open Cup run, and that is probably going to be misplaced trust. But specifically the way that Sean McCauley used Josh O'Brien in this game. And O'Brien 2 years ago was a pretty regular starter as a central defender and occasionally a fullback. Kind of fell out of favor, little used last season, and they decided he's a midfielder now. And in this game, he's taking up positions like a number 10, really getting upfield, being a defensive weapon more than anything else. Like Indy, I think they only completed 88 passes in this game. It was something outlandishly low. So
I mean,
crazy.
they only had they had a possession number that would make old San
29%.
Antonio blush. Like it would make old San Antonio blush. Like Alan Marcina wishes.
It was
Yeah,
29% with more XG than Detroit.
And that is the whole thing of, yeah, you've got this center back in the midfield, but he's just this target if you're trying to restart long. He is a big guy who is going to stop Detroit from moving through the lines. It's a weird way to use a player like that, but super effective in practice. And that's the kind of ingenuity that I think Indy has just lacked at the worst of times for them. But it set the table for Bruno Rendon to be dynamic and not have to worry about tucking inside. It let some of the next pro strikers they've got be a little bit more free. It was a good matchup to do it against Detroit, so I'm curious to see what comes next for Indy. But yeah, the vibes are slightly good, which is weird for me.
Well, one thing that we talked about in the build-up to this season was what was McCauley going to do with this lineup in terms, is he just going to go with old reliables, like just old names that we know, or is he going to go with the youth? And you were saying preseason, I wish you would just do the brave thing and just go with the youth because it looks pretty fun, but I'm just prepared for it just to be the olds. This match had the nice mixture that honestly I think looked great. You had some young pace, you had some fresh ideas, some names that we don't really know yet, mixed with experience, someone who knows how to handle what Detroit was trying to do. I thought it was really fun to watch. And yes, we talk about Indy having 29% possession. When's the last time you've seen Detroit City have 70 something percent possession? Not very often, to the point of they almost didn't seem like they knew what to do. And because they want to be so direct, they want to be direct. I mean, heck, even the goal from Darren Smith, almost copy and paste from last week with Alma Mensa. Right. It's over the top. It's direct. It's right at you. It's hard to be direct when you have 70% of the ball. If that's the secret of how to beat Detroit, is just let them have possession, we'll see. I trust that people like Kobe Hernandez-Foster, like Maxi Rodriguez, midfielders like that can figure it out. But maybe that's the secret if you're everybody else. But if Indy can replicate this and just say, we don't need possession here, we're going to just kind of do what we do, I'm here for it.
And it's the way that they let Detroit possess, where if they're building out from the back and you've got Devin Mensah on the ball, they're pressing him. And then once a line is broken, Indy's totally just content to sit back and absorb pressure because they think if we've got 10 players sitting behind Kobe Hernandez-Foster, he's not going to do damage. And again, most teams aren't going to be that extreme in the approach, but it's a blueprint when you're playing against Detroit for sure.
I'm interested in, because one thing I talked about on Blue Sky, I think it was Sporting Jacks, where it feels like everybody knows that you can just sit deep and counterattack against Sporting Jacks. That conversation of Sporting Jacks versus Detroit City, if that's the conversations we're having, it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see which tactic oppositely prevails, if that makes sense.
No, for sure.
Do we have any other extra time thoughts here?
I'm trying to see when that Sporting Jacks Detroit game is.
Well, while you're doing that, I have a quick question that I asked Ryan, so I'm going to ask you, John, and I want to go back to Louisville.
Sure.
If you're Louisville, I'm not asking what would Louisville do. I'm asking John Morrissey, if you were in charge of Louisville City, do you send a blank check to Tulsa and say, like, we want Luke Spencer?
Okay, I was about to ask if you're, or literally say if you're Lou City, but I need to center myself here. I genuinely think you trust the process. Like, if I'm running this team, I'm happy for Luke Spencer. I'm happy he did his thing. But I like Simon Bird a lot. I know that he's been here for years and knows this system inside and out. I also think that he can be a continuity candidate for now. So if you give him the year and you lose early in the playoffs again, cool. Go out and get somebody. He was the interim coach the whole time. If he's great, awesome. Permanent contract. The plan goes as it is. I also think it's a little bit risky to go for something that monumental at this stage of the season. Like, that would just be disruptive to have Spencer come in, have him settle back down, win over this locker room, figure out the relationship with Bird and Del Piccolo. It becomes this checklist of things that you need to sort out. But it's probably a conversation that's being had. Like, you have to kick the tires, at least internally, on somebody who showed what he can do in that way.
And unfortunately, we don't have a Louisville-Tulsa matchup this year as a kind of direct, you can point to if Tulsa comes in and beats Louisville or vice versa. And to answer your question, Detroit Sporting Jacksonville is also on April 11th, the same day as Tampa Bay, Oakland.
Yeah.
And they don't overlap on games. So you can start your day with that Detroit-Jacksonville match and then have your evening be Tampa Bay.
The scheduling god's looking out for us right there.
Love to see it. All right. And ready for some final thoughts for the night. All right. John, let's start with you.
Baseball back.
Yes.
We are so close, man. I know. I can't wait. And my sicko brain is like most excited to see what the Netflix and NBC broadcasts are like and not the actual baseball, because that's just how I'm wired. But yeah, no, I'm hyped to have it back.
PCA, your Cubbies got
That's
extended
right, man.
today.
6 years. Very happy about that.
I'm going to ask you, Grant, I could ask my friend from Chicago. That'd probably be a better line, but it's fine. Is PCA arguably the most popular athlete in Chicago sports right now?
Caleb Williams is the Bears quarterback. I have that right?
Yeah.
I think he's probably the one, but it's closer than you might think. And I say that from a distance. So we're going to have to follow up with Phil on this as a fellow Cubs fan.
That's true. But yeah, no,
I mean,
so
the
pumped.
Reds signed that clock that was gifted by Joey Votto that's three times his height outside of Great American. So, but yeah, John, I actually signed up for Netflix for the Peaky Blinders with me last week. But yeah, I'm going to morbidly tune in to see how they're going to do with opening day on, God, who was that comedian? He had that like one story that he's now parlayed into a career that he'll be on the broadcasts, and I'm going to see how much of a train
they've got some panelists that I was pretty impressed with, and I'm failing to remember any of them, but yeah, cautiously excited.
I'm pumped. Everybody knows that I am like baseball and soccer are my two sports that I really just dive way too far into. Like, honestly, Baseball Savant and Baseball Reference hates to see me coming. Like it's every single day, just mindlessly clicking. The new I forget who did it. I love the game. It's the Stat Pad game. Every morning, as soon as I get up, it's the best. I'm pumped. Reds play. I'm so excited to have unreasonably high expectations just for us to lose opening game. But after that, we are so back. I know it. We are so back.
Yeah, the former players they've gotten within this Netflix deal is like Barry Bonds, Albert Pujols, Anthony Rizzo, CC Sabathia, and Hunter Pence.
Yeah, you got some personalities there.
Wild. Ryan?
Yeah, John and I were talking about it before the show, but Paradise had episode 7 of their second season was pretty good. And then premiering tonight is Daredevil Born Again season 2 as well. So very good TV happening right now.
You see, Ryan, they're doing a Punisher kind of one-off special coming up in May.
Yeah, I did. I saw that's why he's not appearing in season 2 right now. It was funny because the Punisher special is called One Last Kill. And then if you watch the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer, he's literally pointing a gun at Spider-Man and that. And I was just like, I'm not sure we're going to have one last kill in this special if he's still in the next movie after that.
Love it. Love it. Okay. My final thoughts is just USL thoughts because you brought out the Westchester kit.
Yes.
Granted, I bought this one, but it was worth it. The new Greenville kit, legit. It has the same
That thing's
collar
good,
on it.
man. Nice. Yeah.
It's fantastic. And also it has it's a normal detail, but it has like the South Carolina flag, which is up there with my favorite flags in the United States.
State flag. Yeah, the Palmetto State.
Yeah.
It's a top tier state flag.
Yeah. So they tell me about it, and it has like the 8 stripes on it because it's the 8th state. And I was like, okay, so that's fun. And they're like, oh, yeah. And the collar is just because everybody liked it last year. So we just brought it back. So I'm like, you know what? I respect that. It's people liked it. So we did it. And then the Asheville shirt, I'm not as pullover guy. I normally just do hoodies. I'm a big hoodie guy. This thing's awesome, and it was like $30. It's really nice. So shout out to Asheville. That was great. Seriously, Asheville was a ton of fun. Please be on the lookout for that video when it drops. It was seriously just a great time. It was so cold, but it was so much fun. It was great to see all the different people from around the league and just seeing a different side of soccer. When I talk about a different side of soccer too, there were protesters outside this game where they were protesting a new stadium being built, which I know in our head we're like, new stadium good. Yeah, build stadiums. And they're like, but what if they killed 20,000 trees? And I was like, ooh, didn't think about that, And so like it was just really fascinating other side to the story that I think we don't always discuss on here. So it's just something I thought about throughout the day, and obviously it stuck with me. So it was a blast. I'm excited to get everything going again. The Open Cup is so back. I'm so excited that we're doing it again. Baseball's here. So much just fun things. So yeah. Anything else from you guys? All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching. We appreciate you so much. And until next time, guys.
Thank you for watching another episode of the USL Show. The USL Show is now proudly part of the Protagonist podcast family. Please go to protagonistsoccer.com to check out more work. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see everyone again next time.